I haven't watched this one, but this is Legion of Man Bo Refek, where he brought in a congressional testimony. The title of his video from the end of June is "Imagine Being This Stupid." So I don't know what it is that I'm only 29 seconds into this, so I'm curious to know what it is that causes this title, the motivation for the title. So 29 seconds in, they thank the woman for coming in to offer her testimony. And congressional testimony isn't, just answer the questions as you would as a witness in court. This is, a lot of the time, is soliciting opinions from experts or from those that are involved in something. So let me back this up and start playing it. This is from Forbes Breaking News. What are birthing people? Brandon Gill shows zero mercy to Democrats' witness at DOGE, D-O-G-E, Department of Government Efficiency hearing. So right off the bat, we can tell by the title that this is one of those things. Associate Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson Brown can't even define what it is to be a woman. So let's see what this birthing people is all about.
Welcome back, Tribe. We got Idiocracy in real life.
Oh, before I forget, in the corner it says this was recorded June 24th, 2025.
What are birthing people?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It never gets boring in here. And I'd like to say thank you to the witnesses for being here and for taking the time. Ms. DeVito, thank you for coming here. You, in your testimony...
One thing that's frustrating with some of these is when they put the chyron, which is the little bar with text information, when it blocks identifying, so in the case of the speaker right here, the man that's speaking, presuming, if we go back to Brandon Gill, his name's in the title, presuming this is Brandon Gill who's speaking, but the chyron blocks out his nameplate, so don't know for certain.
It works for them, a government that makes their lives easier and more secure. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Great. I'd like to read through a couple of the grants that DOGE has pulled back, and I'd like to get your take on them. They pulled back a $1.5 million NIH grant to Morehouse College. It was called the Center to Advance Reproductive Justice and Behavioral Health among Black, pregnant / postpartum women and birthing people. Do you think that makes Americans' lives easier and more secure?
Makes America
I think
great
that
again.
medical and scientific research of all types.
Do you think that constitutes critical research according to your testimony?
This is worth watching. Forbes, you may not like Forbes, but they offer, aside from the chyron complaint that I had, they offer many videos documenting what it is that's going on in government. Essentially, it's, they're providing the C-SPAN 2 levels of unedited, uninterrupted congressional footage. And some of these people look exactly as you would picture them. She's mousy, not just in demeanor, but in appearance. Big glasses, complexion, hair, ears. Look, I'm not trying to make fun of her, but if you saw her picture, you'd be like, oh my god, she looks like a mouse. There's a reason they call people mousy, and this is the reason behind that.
NIH grants or critical research,
I think that government research of all types in the medical,
including of birthing people.
I think bench research of all types plays a fundamental
What is a
role.
birthing person?
Sir,
Good question.
I am here to talk about the Doge impact.
Well, I'm asking you about this grant and you're defending it. So I'm asking you who is
Yeah, you're asking for money. This is a grant. What is a birthing person? It's just a simple curiosity because you want money from taxpayers and you can't even tell me what a birthing person means in the first place. Is it a woman?
birthing people?
What kind of creature
I
is
am
that?
not familiar with this grant.
Mhm.
I take a position that all kinds of government research, medical,
Is a
pharmaceutical,
birthing person a woman? Is that another
biological,
word for female?
that is outside the scope of my.
Your brain, my expertise. It's outside the scope of your expertise. We got this egghead with huge bifocals that's asking for grant money, aka from public funding, taxpayers, to do research on something she's not even equipped to tell you what a woman is. These people need to be thrown out of government. This is an insane waste of taxpayer money. This is institutional rot and lockstep with progressive ideals that are not rooted in reality, in science, in biology. This is delusion masquerading as progress, and it's holding us all hostage. We have to live under this tyrannical pretend of I pretend I he her they z zer spaghetti they it they enough people have had enough. That's why somebody like Donald Trump managed to get voted, because they pushed way too hard, way too fast. No, you don't put on a skirt, it's a lipstick, and then you get to walk inside of a woman's bathroom. No, you don't get to take over women's sports because I feel like. We don't care what you feel like. There's many feelings up here. Go to a psychologist, go to a therapist, get put on medication, go get some fucking help. When people see things, they're called crazy. When you think you're things you're not, you should be called crazy too. It's very simple. It used to be, and then they politicized even the Psychiatric Association, the DSMV or whatever it was called. You know, gender dysphoria was a thing that you had to get treated for, and then it got normalized. People are sick of this. What the fuck is a birthing person? How disrespectful is that? Like, imagine you're a feminist in the 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, after the suffragettes, and somebody just flashed forward into the future of this committee hearing right here, this oversight committee, and women aren't even called women anymore. You're called birthing people, and they can't even describe what a woman is. Birthing person. You're just a uterus with legs. It's like men are walking wallets. Yeah, you're a uterus, you're a birthing person. You're a machine to make babies. What the fuck would a feminist from 1950 think about that? We went from empowerment, women could do anything men can do, we want the same rights, responsibilities, and consequences, to reduce down to OF models, commodified our bodies completely, detached all responsibility and accountability, and reduced ourselves down to a birthing person. This is called female progress. Chaotic, isn't it? It's like agents of chaos. Self-destruction is the only thing they know. Unbelievable.
Expertise.
Seems like erasure language to me. I've been told that type of vernacular constitutes erasure language. How about another one? How about the conference, Gender Equity in the Mathematical Study of Commutative Algebra? Do you think that's a valid form of government spending?
I think mathematical research of all types is deserving of government.
What about studying, and this is directly from the National Science Foundation's website, women and non-binary mathematicians?
Again, I think all kinds of government investment should be dedicated toward mathematics.
All kinds of government investment. You don't have any kind of limit on what we're spending our money on?
Brian, we're helping people chop their dicks off in like Chile. We were telling the Taliban about LGBTQ. We were spending all sorts of money with that Doge found out with USAID. We were tranning up the whole world, bro. we were having like trans story hour and shit, like drag story hour with the kids over there in like Peru and shit, like them Andes Mountains. Like, we're gonna teach these villagers about this fucking. Holy shit, dude. Oh.
There's a website. You just type it in, doge.gov or something to that effect. You can review some of these contracts if you're not familiar with them already. And it's there. It's there on the screen, and if you do a little bit of, research into it, you're going to find it. Pakistani gender studies, how much they spent on it. People even outed themselves. There was a man in Britain who was complaining about the Doge cuts affecting his wife's research. Why are we funding a British woman's research? That's money that should have been not in Pakistan, not in Britain. It should have been in America. And that's what it turns out to be. Is they put this money out there, and then they get a kickback in the sense of a contribution. Oh, well, you voted on this package for me to get, you know, $100 million to do research. Well, I'm going to take 10 million of it, and I'm going to put it towards these 10 elected officials, and put it towards their campaign, or something to that effect. Essentially, it's just money laundering. They voted out to be sent to somebody, then they get a kickback in terms of campaign contributions and other levels of, yeah, it's, you know, it's money laundering. But then again, as I mentioned in another video, a lot of you are not able to do your own taxes, aren't able to know how to do basic real estate research, and this isn't meant to be a shaming thing. So I'm beginning to recognize that a lot of you aren't really capable of comprehending what is money laundering. So the government is sticking their hand in your pocket, taking out everything you've earned and more, threatening you that if you don't give up more, you're going to be put in prison. And then they're taking that money and they're giving it to somebody else, and then that somebody else is giving 10% back to the one who stole it from you as a thank you for stealing it from you. That's what money laundering is.
Shit, if you can't answer what a man or a woman is distinctly, immediately, within seconds, like a child would, you're fucking out. You're out of the government position you're in.
Just everything? Is that your testimony?
I am talking about Doge. You brought up.
So am I. This is a grant that Doge cut.
I am not familiar with this particular grant, but I think government investment in mathematical, biological.
Okay. Let's do another one. This one is called hashtag Transcendent Health, adapting an LGBT plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that is
All right, I got to back that one up. I'm loading up the seed silo, and I use paper funnels, so the crinkling of the paper, I didn't hear what was said. So I'm going to back it up and listen to it again.
Okay. Let's do another one. This one is called hashtag Transcendent Health, adapting an LGBT plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys.
Oh my God. So that was a bit lengthy, wordy, but essentially hashtag is the way that things get, referenced on Twitter, Twix, X, whatever you want to call it. So, without backing it up again to get the whole spiel, essentially, boys pretending to be girls, funding to keep, let's put funding towards how to keep boys from becoming pregnant that are pretending to be girls. That is what the program is. That is, come on. It's right up there with Catholic All Saints Hospital, CASH. Just make, write your check donation to Catholic All Saints Hospital. The 30 Rock joke, come on. And she is stone-faced saying that all science has to be funded. This is the reason, what was his name? Robert Stanton, the State Science Institute in Atlas Shrugged. I have to be careful because I may have worked with somebody named that one, with that name. So let's see. My apologies for the delay. I'm a faster typer on a keyboard than on these portable thingies. And my thumbs are calloused and thick. Well, not as thick as it, as real workers. Stadler, not Stanton. Alright, that's why I always get it confused. Yeah, Atlas Shrugged features fictional institution called the State Science Institute. Government Research Foundation led by Robert Stadler. And essentially, that's what this woman is representing. She is the Robert Stadler of the State Science Institute, NIH, National Institute of Health. That is what she's there. All science should, the government should fund all levels of science. No, that's how you get corruption. Is you get corruption by state funding of science and by corporate sponsoring of science. That's why the joke is 4 out of 5 researchers were bought off by, and that's why they recommend smoking being good for you, or whatever it is, or cutting off your balls is good for you. It's because they're being funded in an effort to promote this garbage. It's tainted. Truthstream Media did a full video a few years ago that says, hey, this is how scientific research is done. It's funded by propagandists who are trying to promote an agenda that ends up financially benefiting them. And that's what this woman is doing. And if you look at her, she is the meme. She is the meme of the Karen. Her head cocked, to 1 o'clock, as if that condescending look. Not the Kamala hands linked under her chin, looking at Trump during the debate, like, oh, I'm going to condescend you as you're speaking in my body language. No, this is the 1 o'clock head tilt of, I am better than you, therefore I don't have to listen to you. I just want you to give me money because I'm entitled to your money. And again, it's by backing of government force to take it out of your pocket to fund their insane ideological research.
I can't say this without laughing. Do you think that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I'm not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and
pregnancy for transgender boys.
Come on.
Do you think that is a useful spend of our tax dollars?
Please, just break the script for once. She's just an NPC, say what I was told to say. It's like the fucking hypnotoad is in front of her fucking glasses, like those are some meta glasses. Say what you're supposed to say. Say what you're supposed to say. I think all government spending is good. Oh.
Even though Futurama keeps getting canceled and revived, each iteration becomes more degraded than the previous. It was built on the premise of we were at the end of history in the 90s because the Berlin Wall had fallen, communism had fallen, the Soviet Union had fallen, and it was premature. It didn't realize that they may have institutionally fallen, but they didn't fall. They permeated the wall and infected the West, is what had really happened. So history didn't end, it just became gray, lackluster. We've all been Sovietized. That's why there's no originality in architecture and art in anything. That's why we're obsessed with this gender-bending nonsense. But the Futurama reference of the hypnotoad is the most popular television, show of the 31st century. So if you're not familiar with the animated series, that's what that reference is regarding.
Government spending is good. Do you think we should eliminate a portion of the population? All government spending is good. These people are fucking insane. This is crazy.
I think government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance.
Including pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. Okay. Let me ask you, we can come back to this later.
And Bo is absolutely correct. She's an NPC. It's a broken record. I think government funding for all scientific research is appropriate. Does not compute. Does not compute. That's what she's doing. She is the meme. She is a skin suit. She is a... It is not in the script to deviate, therefore I am a broken record, and I am reading on the script that has been programmed into me for today's session of testimony.
or maybe. Do you support abolishing the filibuster still?
I am here to talk about Doge.
Oh my
We
God.
could abolish the filibuster and get a lot of Doge cuts through. And you've written at length on your Twitter about abolishing the filibuster.
Damn.
I think that we should do that still.
Receipts.
I did a lot of previous work on different topics because I am an economic policy expert, and respectfully, I'm here to talk about Doge cuts.
Respectfully, these are our experts. So when they tell you trust the experts, these are one of the experts that they're citing. Just
And how anybody can trust the experts anymore after the last 10 years of Me Too, of COVID, of electioneering, questionable election integrity. If not the last 10 years, then the last 50 years. How anybody from the Great Society forward is willing to trust the experts demonstrates a low IQ thinker. I go along to get along. Stepford wife mentality. I've used this example in the past. Water is the most effective means of transmission of anything. I step into the public swimming pool, the front door, and the sign-in desk is maybe 3 feet distance without a mask. And I'm challenged as I'm signing in. No mask today? And I look over her shoulder. The pool is full of fat, old women doing useless water aerobics. Because at least they're moving, whatever. Look, I don't have any respect for effing water aerobics. It's gossip hour for all is what it really is. Not one of them has lost a single ounce. If anything, they've gained weight. Not just water weight from being in there. It's absolutely useless because there's not enough activity to counter the amount of bonbons they're eating the rest of the day. Not one of them's wearing a mask. But the audacity of this imbecile. I have no degree in medicine, but I'm going to lecture somebody who was in the military who tortured people on a regular basis with life support equipment on hypoxia and low altitude sickness issues. Get out of here. Get the F out of here. I know more about life support. I've forgotten more about life support equipment and hypoxia and transmissibility than these imbeciles in their, And I would never, ever claim to be an expert. I just enjoy making fun of people for wearing a mask in their car, wearing a mask in public, thinking that a effing dirty diaper is going to do anything to prevent transmissibility of a stage contagion. Why anybody would trust any level of authority, government, expert, whatever you want to call them, whoever they are, if you're not questioning now, there is no fixing you. You are too low IQ to be functioning. And that was the goal, is to eradicate you, not me. You.
so you know what the experts look like, sound like, what they believe in, how much experience they have. Just so you know.
Okay, but we could abolish the filibuster and get Doge cuts. This is totally germane here. Do you think we should?
I am here to talk about Doge cuts, not strategies for achieving more of them, but the harms that they have produced for working families.
It's a convenient change of opinion. I noticed that most of your comments about the filibuster were during the Biden administration. But we can move on. Let's go back to some more of these grants.
Receipts, dude.
Do you think that we should be spending money on, quote, the racialized basis of trait judgments from faces?
I am not at all familiar with that grant.
It's a $500,000 NSF grant.
Okay, I am not familiar with the subject matter or the particular grant.
But you're defending these.
I am saying that I think the government...
You're pretty adamant against Doge cuts, and I'm asking you if you support the cuts
I think that there
Doge has found.
Economic and medical, public health, communal benefits.
What about cross-sex steroid therapy and cardiovascular risk in the transgender female?
again, I think government investment in scientific research is
Great.
important.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it.
Amazing, amazing work there by the expert. As a woman, don't ever call me a birthing person. I will not react kindly. She's not even bright enough to be embarrassed. Oh my gosh, she's not familiar with reality.
Taking a break from him reading through the comments on the Forbes video here. Um, this is why I am adamant about doing due diligence, and it's not just for your real estate research. This is due diligence that you do in any endeavor, any discipline, anything of which you're putting your toe into. You know, the guy showed up, whatever his name was, Brandon Gill or whatever, I can't remember. This is the reason that you have your due diligence. You have your staffers, you know, in his case, do the research to go and look at these comments. And as he rightly pointed out, he was very much in favor of eradicating the filibuster to benefit Biden's stewardship. He wasn't a president, he was a steward. So Brandon Gene Gill, an American politician, serving in the House of Representatives from Texas' 26th Congressional District. So he's a new member of Congress, but he was just, for somebody who's newly put in Congress, he is bringing the hammers of justice to this NPC. NPC is an acronym, an abbreviation for non-playable character. It's a reference to video game terminology that when you are playing as the main character in the video game, you come across characters. And for example, because I'm old and the games I play are old, you're playing the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And as you're running around the first, you know, after you get off the spaceship and you crash land on the planet and you start exploring the city of Terrace, you come across certain characters that are walking around the city too, and you can have short interactions. And you know, oh, I can't believe the occupation that's going on, and then they keep walking. You know, those are non-playable characters. Even the shopkeepers or the people in the restaurant bar, those are non-playable characters. They're just there to advance the gameplay, to either give you basic information on, you know, the environment of which you're inhabiting, or to help you accomplish that task. You know, there's a Jabba the Hutt character that you go and you get bounty hunter missions, you know, and you show up and you collect the bounties. The same thing with Grand Theft Auto Vice City. The character goes to the ammo spray, you know, place to buy the weapons, or they go to the paint shop to get a new paint job to evade the police. But these are all interactions that with the, you know, or hiring the streetwalker to take care of horizontal activities. These are all non-playable characters or non-playable facilities, but they advance the plot line. And that's what the NPC is, if you're not already familiar with it.
Is a race or language. As a woman, I get mad every time I hear women defending it. I believe she proves the point so perfectly as to why Doge was very desperately needed. He's just proving how much stupid money was wasted by our government. She's just a puppet with no independent thought. Look at that. In all my years, 72, I've never known such absolute madness. God help my kids and grandchildren. The world has gone mad. Put 100 women and 10 men on an island, and in 100 years you will have men, women, boys, and girls. Put 100 trans women and 10 men on an island, and in 100 years' time, you will have 110 male skeletons. Yep. The party of pregnant men lost in 2024 and will keep losing. That's great. That's great. The party of pregnant men. That's a good name to give it. Party of pregnant men. Notice she smiled at birthing people. Even she knows it's ridiculous. Thank God for Doge. Yeah, the party of pregnant men lost in 2024. Unreal. Okay? Your tax dollars at work, boys and girls. All you bust your ass trying to make it, barely scraping on by, barely, and the government comes and takes that sweet, sweet money to fund gender-inclusive XYZ something mathematics, gender research, trend, birthing, triceratop, one-eyed alien, post-op pregnancies. Great. I love giving the IRS my money so they can use it on that. I'll see you on the next one.
Sometimes women are like, why don't I get princess treatment? You're not hot enough. There's women that have men begging to pay for their shit. But no, I mean, there's a looks level, you gotta get into it.
It's not about the way women look. You get princess treatment when you are kind, loving, genuinely caring.
So, you know, I don't put my face on the camera, obviously. I like letting you guys look at chickens, because chickens are funny. And I'm hoping to inspire you to pursue your own interests and endeavors in your own way of self-sustainability. A few years ago, I came across an individual who turned 21, and they plastered their car with the Venmo account number, attempting to solicit people to donate to their drunk fest. And I was in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. They have the bottle bill. The bottle bill is originally was the nickel deposit you paid on every bottle of alcohol and soda pop. And you take your bottles and cans to the to the store. They count it and they give you your deposit back. I was turning in some bottles that I had, and that individual showed up, and she was lamenting that she put the Venmo on the vehicle, but nobody had been donating, and was surprised that, how come nobody's giving me money? I'm a girl. And at the time she was reasonably cute. Cute, not attractive. There's a difference. And, I'm just, thinking to myself, that's a pretty tall order to expect strangers to just give you money because you had a birthday. I know, I had a birthday. My parents came and saw me the next day, talked to me for 10 minutes, and gave me a card. I was very appreciative of that 10 minutes of being able to interact with them, and I was very thankful for the card because it was very, very amusing. It was in reference to having cats, and you open it up and it's a collection of cats doing cat nonsense, and it pops out a little bit, but it makes fun of people for having the cat smell, the litter box smell, And I was like, well, if they only knew about chickens, yeah, it'd be even more appropriate, it would make more sense as to why it was funny. But, the level of entitlement that some people have towards, but I'm the princess, you're supposed to give me time, attention, money, resources. It's absurd to me. I don't expect other people to pay for my alcohol. I don't expect other people to pay for my food, my chicken feed, my cat food, any of that stuff. If I exchange labor, and they offer that in return for that labor, that's one thing. But just to have that level of entitlement, I've always found fascinating. And to find that this is just a thing with women in particular is just bizarre.
Sincere, compassionate, intelligent, and believe in yourself.
Hi. You okay?
It's hot on the bottom.
It's motherfucking hot on the bottom.
This is the state of the new generation.
Alright, so if you were lost on what the yelling was about, anybody who's made use a cauldron to boil water can relate to this to some degree, and that is, when you put the skillet on the stove and turn the burner on, it heats up that surface. The mother, what I'm presuming is the mother, was attempting to hand over the cauldron to the teenager, a young teenager, but a teenager nonetheless, and it, to the girl. And the girl was open palms upward, wanting to receive this cauldron, and the mother is like, "It's hot," which was what the reference to the finally of it's effing hot. The concept of the energy that's still there, just because you took it off the burner doesn't mean the energy vanishes. It's captured that energy and it's still radiating that heat energy out. Jeez Louise, I don't understand this on people. Cold is a vacuum, heat is energy. It's common sense.
Of women.
And Emily King, she does those video shorts that are on YouTube, and I don't know if she's on other platforms, but she's been one of the more recent, with Liz Whatcom and Sarah something or another, and they all have been emulating the Pearl Davis thing, where Pearl Davis does the long format, but in the Lady J of the women advancing men's issues. And of course, with anything, if men say it, it falls on deaf ears, but when women say it, it grabs attention. So the screen text says, "Is he really a narcissist? Question, question. Or did you just create a false narrative in your head, and when you could no longer control him, instead of taking accountability, you attacked his character?"
Narcissist, misogynist, words that people love to use without really knowing their true meaning. It's become a running gag on divorce forums that every ex-husband is narcissistic, and every ex-wife is bipolar.
If a woman lies about paternity of the child, and it's not found out before the age of 2, that man's on child support for life, even though that woman committed fraud.
Long past time that
This is the reason, I advance and encourage people to develop litmus tests. Find ways to present information as a gauge as to who they are, what is their character, what level of integrity do they that they possess. And one of them would be a way of introducing paternity fraud as an allegory of, wow, one of the things that really frightens me about relationships is I knew this guy that had been defrauded by paternity fraud for over 15 years. Not once, but twice. And watch the woman's response. If it is, anything other than disgust of how dare somebody abuse their children and that man in that manner. If it's anything less than that, just walk away. Never talk to them again. Because if anything from, well, he got what he deserved to, well, what else is a woman supposed to do, or any other kind of an excuse that justifies it, rationalizes it, you're doing yourself a favor by not interacting. Because that is a woman that is extraordinarily selfish, extraordinarily evil, and will do anything to destroy you in a similar manner, whether it is doing paternity fraud or anything else. That demonstrates a lack of character, tells you that they have, the caliber of their character is non-existent.
there is a federal law that not only utterly absolves the men of this responsibility, but puts the women in jail for aggravated assault on the man for the lie. They should estimate the total cost to him and charge her with attempted fraud and larceny for that amount, along with any related crimes, such as lying to police or while under oath.
Men are incredibly loyal to...
Finally, the words that I've been uttering, because I am a strong proponent, not so much of the paternity fraud on this level, but just the fraud reporting, because of the weaponization of the courts, weaponization of law enforcement, weaponization of the community, weaponization of the man's employer most often, the weaponization of even their family and or church or religious community and their schools. Those are, anywhere from 5 to 7 different levels of social manipulation that are designed to destroy, not just bruise, but eradicate that man. Finally, somebody else is saying it needs to be compounded. These are crimes, not just fraud and a slap on the wrist and a fine and pay it back. No, somebody else is finally catching on to what I've been saying. These are multiple level crimes and cannot be ignored, and to be prosecuted needs to include the ending penalty, because this is attempted ending of an individual.
The marriage itself, even if their behavior is not, emotionally, whatever it is, they want to make it work. Whereas for women, the moment she shows interest in another man, her love for you just goes. It just literally goes. The moment she's disloyal, she will continue to be disloyal.
A relationship for men is about love. For women, it's just a business case. The sweetness in the beginning is her sales tool. So men need to learn from this.
And what power do white men have, like the average white man, that a black woman doesn't?
Perception, right?
You guys are going to go to school more often. Y'all are going to get the better high-paying jobs. You guys don't have to worry about who's going to kill you, what cop is going to kill you for the color of your skin. When you get pulled over, you don't have to worry about, oh, is this cop going to take me to jail just because I'm black?
You do realize that there are more white men killed by police than there are women of all races combined? This includes black women, Latina women, Asian women, and white women. This difference between men and women is much greater than the difference of police killings between white men and black men.
And also, women go to college more than white women do. Let's assume for a second that black men never go to college and only black women do. One of your key points for why it was that you couldn't say that a black woman was as privileged as a white man is because a black woman has to worry about where they go to school. Well, the stats really don't show that. They show, in fact, the opposite. I'm just looking for the average white guy. How is he more privileged than the average black woman? How?
Bro knew his fate from the beginning.
This is one of those towels that we're not supposed to put out. Decorative, we just admire it, look at it. It doesn't have a function.
Okay, no, look, all these choices, you have all these choices, but you've like got Santa on the mind or something? We live on the surface of the sun. I just don't, I think festive to me. It's a towel that happens to be green and now you know what the word festive means. I'm out of town for the kids' Christmas program, and I asked you for the kids in festive clothing. You put them in neon.
And they had a great time. And I actually got a lot of compliments from other people. Now they're...
Babe, people feel bad for you.
I think that most times in relationships, you have to learn to pick your battles. You have to ask yourself, is the style towel really that important? And by the way, I thought that towel was going to have a big, like, Santa Claus face on it. But it didn't. It just had red and green stripes on it. And the man is colorblind. Bottom line, what a lot of men have a problem with in this video is that she's making him feel incompetent.
I have many black friends who are not scared at all when they get pulled over by police because they act just like I do. Respectfully, compliant, and with a non-combative attitude. Cops realize this respect and give us warnings, letting us go most of the time.
One of the issues I have with some of these compilation video accounts is it's obvious that it's either generated or it's somebody who just doesn't edit properly, because the previous, sampled video and then the follow-up narrative have no connection. If anything, it was just misplaced. But yeah, the obsession with, this clothing for that, and okay, great. You dress the part for the role that you're going for. If you're going to work, you dress for going to work. If you're going to church, you dress for going to church. That makes sense. But the towel, the special paper thin thread line of green, paper thin red thread line, is our festive. Yeah, get out of here with that stupidity. Functionality over decorative every time.
I don't walk up to a thug gangster who's packing on the street and act like an idiot. Why would we do this with cops?
Are you more interesting than you look?
It's all in the mind, eye of the beholder, Ann.
What do you do?
I'm a business development manager for a large bank in the Northeast.
Okay. Tell me if there's anything interesting about your job.
This was a woman who did the weakest link that was kind of a popular thing for a year or two. And, ooh, snap, 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 look at her go. You know, it was amusing for a short period of time. That's the reason it's not around anymore. It was a fad. The bottom line is, nobody wants to be condescended towards, and that's what this man's pushing back against. Is this woman was notorious for being condescending and snarky, and I don't care, man or woman, I'm not interested in it. I mean, it's one thing to be lectured to because I did the job wrong. It's another thing to be treated as if I'm an idiot in all facets. I'm not going to put up with it, and neither should you. I mean, if you're having a failure in something, admitting is the first step, and then seeking the ways to remedy it is appropriate. But, yeah, being condescended to by somebody who's just standing on a platform, arms crossed in judgment. I know more than you do, and I'm the one that's getting the big contract, so obviously I know more. No, you fit a part, you were casted in a role. I mean, even AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has been outed as to she auditioned for a role as for the candidate for the Democrat Socialist Party when she was elected to Congress. Her opponent, who was who was the incumbent, which means that they were already elected to that office and were running for re-election, disregarded her so much, didn't attend the debate or the town hall that they were supposed to both be at. That's how she got elected. Now, whether he was paid off or agreed to step out, whatever, I have no idea. But the bottom line is they put out a casting call. The Democrat Socialists put out a casting call. Her brother submitted her name. They contacted her. She went in, and they picked her. They ran her. They funded her. And then, she's been outed as, she's only been using the name lately, to appeal to the Hispanic vote. She's always gone by Sandy. She went to a wealthy high school and lived in a wealthy community. All of it's been an act, and for what it is she went to college for, she has no background. She hasn't done anything in that degree field. So, or at least that's my understanding. I haven't really looked into it as much, but that's what happens. You put somebody snarky, somebody who plays a part, and that's all they're capable of doing. They're not that person, and so they're limited in that role of what they can actually do. That's why you don't call up Dr. McCoy and ask him how to do open heart surgery. He's an actor. He's not a doctor.
In some things, yes. In other things, I like to take my time.
I've absolutely no idea what you mean.
Somehow I don't doubt that.
If men acted like her, people would call them controlling and scream to leave this abusive guy.
Absolutely. And I'm going to emphasize that no matter the dynamic, as I've said, there's no reason to put up with that. If you strip the lug nuts off the tire and you snap, the bolts that it mounts to, and it's because of your incompetence, that's one thing. But if you're just slow at doing it and you've never done it before, but you're painstakingly attempting to get it done, and you're being yelled at, yeah, don't put up with that. People are either there to actually guide and mentor you and to assist, or they're there to tear you down. You have to make that discernment. And if they can't be part of your success, don't keep them around. You're going to, judgmental people are easy to identify. They are the ones that don't have the paintings that they made themselves on the wall. They are the ones that are not playing the musical instrument. but they are the ones that are in constant judgment of what is wrong with painting and painters, with musicians and playing music, with, they are the ones in judgment of the failures of everyone else as they sit in the elevated royal seat. You've experienced it most likely. You've worked with people that are that way. I know I probably come out that way. That's why I interject things as to what it is that's been my background with military, with private pilot training, doing simple, maintenance work, and cat wrangling. It's the toughest job you'll ever love is being a cat herder. That old commercial, So, do recognize when somebody's admonishing you because these are things that you lack because of apathy versus trying to make you feel bad because you don't know it because you've never been exposed to it.
She's right about one thing. People do feel bad for him, and the reason is next to it. That relationship is dead. She is full of contempt and is gaslighting him like crazy. That is emotional abuse.
This question is for the men. Why are you so dramatic? So dramatic when we ask to do a simple task around the house. This goes out to the husband. Man's husband. I asked my husband, can you sweep and mop? Please. I'll do the bathroom. He said, no problem. I was like, speechless. He didn't bite me on it. 4 days later, this shows up.
Alright, so the woman, you can barely hear her. She's, men, why are you so dramatic? I asked my husband if he would sweep and mop, and he said, sure, he didn't bite me on it. And then she's attempting to shame him for having bought the Roomba, the robot vacuum and self-mopping tool that's automated. She's like, how dare you? And this is right up there with the country and western, if you can call it that, Faith Hill. He bought me a washer machine for my anniversary, or however the song goes. Essentially, the difference between men and women is, here's your gift. Oh, thank you. You open it up, it's a hammer. That puts a smile on a man's face. Hey, you got me a hammer. Yeah, let me go hammer things. Let me go build this, go build that. He bought me a washer machine. How dare he disrespect me that way? It's absurd. It's stupid. It's selfish. He bought you a tool to make life easier for yourself. And your attitude is, how dare you buy something to make things easier for me? How dare somebody make something more efficient for me? Eli Whitney, how dare you have made that cotton gin back in the day? That's the mentality of these people. It's absurdity to the highest regard. It's poison. When it's displayed, separate yourself from it. So the fact that he bought this freaking robot to make the job easier to clean the floor, it's the judgment thing. Dude, don't even bother with the divorce. Just walk away. But if you're interacting with a woman that behaves in this manner, walk away. There's a time and a place for work smarter, not harder, and this is one of them. As long as it gets the job done, what does it matter how it's done? As long as it's not destroying anything and isn't putting anybody out.
Got him! Got him!
She asked him to sweep, expecting him to grab the broom like it's 1950. But this man upgraded the entire house with one decision. That's not laziness. That's efficiency.
two monks are walking, and a woman is attempting to cross the river, and the monk offers to carry her on his shoulders, and they have a vow of abstinence. And as they approach the other shore and climb up out of the water, the woman removes herself from the monk's shoulders, and the two monks proceed. A mile away, the one monk says to the other, "I can't believe you allowed that woman to touch you and that you carried her across." And his response was, "Why are you still carrying that burden? I dropped her off a mile ago." And that's what this woman is doing. She's caught up in the, "I wanted to see you labor. How dare you do it efficiently?" That's
Less cleaning, more peace. He didn't avoid the problem. He solved it better than she imagined. Modern problems require modern solutions. She wanted a husband. She got an engineer.
Pure elegance from that guy. And she doesn't have a clue how foolish she looked in the show after that.
Clearly you're cheating on me with a whole bunch of different girls.
Cut the cameras.
And that's it right there. The same resources were available to her that were available to him. And for however long a period of time existed, she was too lazy, too stupid, too incompetent, too apathetic to think beyond the immediate and find a more efficient solution. When my child became quadriplegic, I encouraged my child to think outside the box, that with limited ability, demanded heightened creativity to solve problems. And I won't get into all the steps that went into addressing that how to compensate for quadriplegia. But I'm not an engineer, but as I presented the information was, you have to look at what it is, where you're at and what it is that is your goal. Are you attempting to brush your teeth? Are you attempting to eat? Are you attempting to write? Are you attempting to paint? Are you attempting to get from a powered wheelchair to the bed? What is your goal, and how is it you're going to transfer from one to the other and to achieve that goal? If you can't do it with your feet, you can't do it with your hands, can you do it with your teeth? Can you do it with your mouth, verbally? Long story short, there's an app called Macro Droid, and my instruction was to learn how to use Macro Droid to create basic programs to automate certain things. The other one was how to do things by voice command. So, like I said, I don't want to get into the weeds of all the things that were developed, in that. But it's when presented with a problem, you don't lament the solution. You look at whether or not the solution is effective. Right now, I'm doing laundry, and I made the reference in another video about using a 5-gallon bucket of water and a plunger and laundry soap. Well, that requires actual physical labor pushing that plunger up and down. Right now, in the background is the automated machine rotating the clothes back and forth in the same amount of water to agitate it to get them clean, allowing me to speak and come back and forth between changing the litter box on this, on this topic. So I'm able to multitask. Even though I don't like multitasking, I'm able to do multiple things. I've got the automated system doing the laundry. I'm able to listen to the video and then pause it and make my opinion on it. And I'm able to go over and do the litter box. Now the litter box I'm not going to automate because there's been too many reports of those automated systems killing the cats, and I'm not going to have that happen. I am okay with bending over and getting my hands dirty with the scooper and cleaning it up. If it means keeping them alive and uninjured, I'm all for that. There might be a better sifting system down the road, but for right now, I'm okay with doing a dirty job, as Mike Rowe would say, who, coincidentally enough, was on QVC selling fake jewelry back before he did his dirty jobs. So talk about a dirty job, selling fake jewelry to overweight women late at night. That's the dirty job.
You guys just told me you've been dating now for how long?
2 years.
2 years. Damn, how's the relationship going?
It's going good.
I'd say it's going great.
Yeah, it's going good.
Are you down to see if your boyfriend is on any dating apps right now?
Yes, I need to see.
You're not saying?
Yes, because we're in Brazil next week. I need to know.
You're right, you're right. Alright, yeah, so we're just gonna be using Cheater Buster AI. What's your name? Does it really matter?
His name is Jake.
How old is he?
He's 19.
Where's he from?
He's from New Jersey, like up.
New Jersey? Yeah, I just gotta get a picture of you, bro. Just the AI can detect. Alright, it's loading right now. Like, you nervous at all?
I really hope he's not doing anything.
What do you want to do with that? Like, it's so weird.
I don't know, he's being a little suspicious. It's kind of weird. Why are you being suspicious?
I just don't want to, I don't know. This just came up. Is this your Tinder?
Are you kidding me?
This is verified?
We've been dating for 2 years. We're going to Brazil next week. What the f*** are you doing?
So it's not that she wanted the house cleaned, just that she wants people to do exactly what she says that she can have control over other human beings. Thanks for watching Sigma Traits. As always, we're looking forward to your support. So please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything.
So as you can hear, obviously it doesn't match up. You know, whoever did the editing on Sigma Traits channel lacks attention to detail with their editing. That last one about the Cheater Buster AI, what they should have followed up with is, it's not just women that are being outed, it's both men and women that are being outed. Therefore, it's more important than ever to do your due diligence and to research these relationships that are going to be life-altering or potentially life-altering. You know, if you enter into something that either results in producing children or being married, you want to have these, you know, you need to recognize that both people are capable of doing duplicitous, dirty deeds to one another. Unfortunately, what it is women's activities are downplayed. But it's good to remember that men are just as capable of doing these things also. So that way you avoid the temptation to generalize. That's, in my opinion, how they should have finished it up. Instead of tying it into the vacuum thing, they should have done a better job of editing. That's at least 2 different examples of poor editing on their part. And it makes me question how the account is handled, who manages it, why it's handled that way. I just realized that I did this wrong, so excuse me while I fix it so it doesn't do it wrong from here on out. Alright, I'm in the middle of cleaning out that litter box I mentioned. And I need to get that done because the cat keeps telling me, hey dude, you know, I've been patient with you.
Oh
And-
wow,
and
it
he's a
looks
good
like
cat.
we finally found those nuclear weapons.
So are the other 2.
There they are. He's
And it's We Are Change, Luke Rudowski, opening with his, you know, typical meme calling it out. But what it shows is the Ayatollah removing his turban and then his old gray hair going Afro style. And just like the guy from the Fat Albert show back in the day, you know, having tools and equipment and whatever, or was it the Fat Albert or was it the Harlem Globetrotters? One of the 2. The guy would reach up into his fro and pull out whatever tool was needed. And it was funny as a kid watching it, you know. I don't know if it was Hanna-Barbera, but it was definitely the 70s. The 70s had silly cartoons. They were funny. The title is MTG, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the powerhouse from, I think, South Carolina. And Tucker Carlson just blew the whistle on who's really running the U.S. government. And whatever your opinion is of MTG, she's a powerhouse, and she's right more often than she's wrong, and she's not a Nancy Mace. She's not a lying. So far, she behaves in a manner that she doesn't seem to be a covert womanist. She seems to be very direct and very, this is what's going on, this is what I'm calling for. She may, again, she may not be 100% all the time, but I'd rather her than Nancy Mace or, Yasmin Crockett or AOC any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Guilty is charged! Now! Send in! The U.S. submarines that actually were used to attack Iran a couple days ago. Wait, what in the world's going on here? Is now we're finally getting to find out the true capabilities that were used by our tax dollars in order to liberate a country in the Middle East that Tucker Carlson and MTG had some very interesting comments about that we're going to be playing in this particular video. All of this as there are some very troubling updates with what is happening right now, as we had some very tough rhetoric from the Ayatollah who declared victory. Netanyahu declared victory too. Donald Trump now is even talking tougher and taking more tough actions against Iran as of late. And it's signaling how we might be running this one back, boys, as it's not looking too good for the peaceniks. As of course we're going to be fully talking about that and all the other major geopolitical updates in what is, I would say, the most troubling decision of the Donald Trump presidency so far. And if you appreciate our honesty on this particular issue, and not just, of course, playing ball, but party politics or worshiping people in power, subscribe, click the notification button, as of course we have a lot of incredible work that we are doing and soon going to be releasing on this particular channel. You won't want to miss it. We're going to be doing future live streams as well, so this is the place for all the latest developments that are happening right now. As in the making of this video, Iran is actually holding state funerals for some of their top commanders, government and military members that have been recently assassinated by targeted strikes from the United States and Israel. Along them are, of course, a lot of scientists, a part of the Iranian regime, that were working on their ballistic and nuclear missiles weapons program. Now, this whole thing has been in debate for quite a long time, as it looks like Iran now is mourning their losses, as the United States worked with Israel for over a year on this clandestine surprise sneak attack that they carried out by putting drones inside of Iran and then launching them along with a bigger military campaign at the same time, going after some of the biggest members. And as we recently found out, also we're going after the Ayatollah and tried to take him out. As we have gotten news that Donald Trump told them not to do this, we're finding out that there's really just tried to take him out anyway. That could have been their one last flight that Donald Trump told them not to do. Who knows what's really going on here, who's really in charge here, as now Iran has just barred the IAEA chief from entering the country, refusing cameras at its nuclear sites, according to the Iranian foreign minister, as we're getting reports that they are now trying to repair their nuclear sites, according to all the latest satellite imagery here, as we have this from the Daily Mail. Startling new satellite pictures show secret activity at Iranian nuclear site that the U.S. bombed into pieces. This, as what most likely is happening here, is that they're rebuilding. They are trying to, of course, make sure that their facility could be potentially up and running. They're trying to get it to run again. According to the Iranians, it was only the entrances to these facilities. The Russians reiterated the same thing, along with CNN, and very similar talking points by Lindsey Graham. Donald Trump and his administration are saying, we blow it up to pieces. Listen, for the sake of peace here, he blew it up to pieces. That's just my own personal take here. And now, as the New York Times writes, the fate of the Iranian enriched uranium is a mystery. U.S. intelligence agencies have long assessed that faced with the possibility of an attack on its nuclear facilities, Iran would try to move its stockpile. And it looks like that they did. And now the question remains, okay, where's the, quote, enriched uranium? As we are hearing some news stories about the Israelis saying, you better hand it over now, or else we are going to bomb you, or you just comply. As right now, we have found out that the United States spent nearly 20% of all of its U.S. THAAD missile defense systems in this 12-day conflict. Yes, you heard that correctly. As it is estimated that the United States has spent $810 million to $1.2 billion just on these interceptors alone, not including the other systems, the other tech, the other servicemen that were, of course, sent into the region, as we have seen one of the biggest military buildups in the Middle East in an extremely long time since, of course, the Iraq War invasion, and the number of troops, the gas, the energy, the infrastructure that was set up here, the meals, all of that is going to be still a pretty penny that the United States is paying for, as the average American here struggling to survive is saying, hey, why are we doing this? And clearly, getting rid of 20% of our stock of missile air defense launcher systems, our entire global inventory in less than 2 weeks, doesn't signal well to what people believe to be the larger prospects of a bigger conflict that could potentially unfold with other geopolitical world powers that individuals like Alexander Dugin believe we are already at war with. That guy is Putin's brain for a reason. His analysis here has been very startling, to say the least here. Before talking about that, and before talking about MTG and Tucker Carlson, we wanted to tell you about BiltongUSA.com. I would say this is, in my opinion, the best meat company out there. They have high-grade, premium, quality ingredients. My friend was here. I should have given them some biltong. I totally forgot here. I have some here on set with me. I released some news tip around Israel. A great way to build relationships with your neighbors, which you're probably going to want to do, okay? You want to make sure that you have good relations with the people all around you, since we probably are going to want to have good relationships with them, especially with just how crazy the situation is devolving. All this as Israel has vowed to maintain air superiority over Iran and told that they could violate the ceasefire anytime they want. This is according to the Israeli foreign minister, that really is going up against Donald Trump here, to say the least here, as Netanyahu claims victory over Iran, as he is facing some very serious questions regarding corruption allegation and charges that he is going to be in court in. Now, the original court proceedings were postponed by October 7th, and now it looks like these court proceedings will be moving forward. Now, a lot of people, this is what I said 2 years ago after that event. I was like, Bibi was on his way out, okay? There's massive protests against him, massive political backlash. A lot of people weren't happy. There were a lot of very serious corruption allegations. And then I said, oh, a war started. How convenient. And I said, as long as this war keeps going on, that's how long Bibi's going to be in power. And it definitely does look like he is definitely a war presidency. And I would argue that there are deliberate moves and decisions being made here to keep Israel in a perpetual state of war, which is really not good for their citizenry, their population, and the region, and for us here. As we have the Israeli defense minister saying, yeah, we're going to remain to have air superiority. We're going to strike Iran when we want. We don't care if there's a ceasefire here that Donald Trump set up here, and we want it to eliminate Khomeini. And listen, with them still having air superiority, Khomeini still is in danger here. And I think this is why he's been in hiding, and I think this is why at any moment and any time things could kick off here. We have a very interesting Fox News article saying presidents have F's to give when it's about Israel's Bibi Netanyahu. As the article reads here in an opinion piece, Trump joins a long line of presidents whose frustrations with the Israeli Prime Minister have boiled over. As, of course, we saw this one particular statement with Donald Trump dropping the F-bomb on live national television, specifically pointing out Israel for not listening to him. And Donald Trump, listen, there's a lot of ways Donald Trump could put Israel in check. There's a lot of ways Donald Trump could be like, listen, I said to do this, you directly disobeyed me. You're telling me that the ceasefire that I set up here, you could violate at any time. I told you not to go after Khomeini, and now you're telling everyone you went after Khomeini here. As we have to understand, some of these type of treatments here that Donald Trump is getting is very weird and wild. As Donald Trump reiterated the statement saying, yeah, if Iran is going to be enriching more of their uranium, we're going to strike them back. That's what the
If Iran...
Are you from Iran?
No, I'm not from Iran. I'm from the UK. But if the intelligence report concludes that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you, would you consider bombing the country again?
Without question, absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of things I'm in favor of, and this is not one of them. I'm not in favor of dropping bombs on people, but we don't want them to have, you know, those atom splitting or atom fusing capabilities. More and more countries all the time are developing that technology one way or another. Whether it's Americans, the French, the British, the Germans, the Russians, the North Koreans, the Pakistanis, you know, it doesn't matter. It's more and more people are joining that club. There will come a point where more than half of the nations will possess that technology if they don't already. And to say one group is unworthy of that over another, you know, especially when you look at places such as North Korea possessing that, and the United States being responsible for that, your argument is moot. It's already there, and we don't really control. We attempt to say we do, and to some degree, America does have control over how that stuff is proliferated. But come on, look into the USS Liberty and other things as to how is it that Israel possesses that? They didn't get it on their own. They got it through some very nefarious pathways. And this isn't meant to be a dig at them. It's just a calling out that they're not our greatest ally. They see us as a stupid tool to be used. The more you realize that, the more you can begin to disassociate yourself from an abusive relationship in this regard for an entanglement.
Turned out to be unbelievable. But, you know, our incredible flyers and I call them the shots. These guys are unbelievable. Think, from 52,000 feet, they hit the equivalent of a refrigerator door. They actually hit it right in the center, so it's much smaller than that.
Yep, and then there was also submarines that were used here to strike Iran. Lots of people didn't know about that. And there was other missile systems that were used to strike territories deep inside of Iran here. As, of course, Trump just issued a very blistering response to the Iranian Supreme Leader. Listen, with Bibi treating Trump the way he is, you would expect that Trump would kind of hit back against Bibi. He hasn't done that. But he has hit very seriously against the Iranian Supreme Leader, who also decided to declare victory here. And Donald Trump just released a big Truth Media social post just attacking him. And after that Truth social post, Trump just suspended the possibilities of Iranian sanction relief here. As, of course, he talked about how he was going to get rid of the sanctions here during the ceasefire in order to show good grace here. Now, after the Ayatollah declared victory here and said some, said some wild things, we have Donald Trump saying his wild things. And again, it's just a constant kind of war of words here. Now, the United States kind of directly backing and helping one particular side of this conflict definitely makes it a very kind of heavy-handed approach here towards all of this, as clearly the Iranians have a huge disadvantage here, as the United States has funded 73% of the military costs associated with the occupation of Gaza. The United States has spent billions of dollars on aiding and abetting Israel, so of course they didn't have to spend their own money, so they get to have their own forms of welfare because we subsidize that just like we do NATO, just like we do Ukraine. And why are we doing all of this type of stuff? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. As of course we have MTG and Tucker Carlson recently sitting down and highlighting how, you know, the few members of Congress that actually speak out against this, they're the ones getting viciously attacked and primaried, and there's a deliberate effort to try to take them out of political office. This is what MTG recently had to say with Tucker Carlson that I thought is absolutely worth a listen.
They can vote for whoever they want to represent them. They can.
It's just funny. It's like you and Massey are the only member, and the whole class, Republicans are the majority of the House of Representatives. Majority of 435.
Yeah, both sides.
And well, 535 with the Senate, and I still think you and Massey are the only ones who've ever said anything like this.
Oh, I'm sure.
And what are they saying? They're saying, hey, could we take care of our problems at home here? Could we not do foreign wars? Could we make sure that, you know, the bigger issues at hand here at home are first dealt with as we are dealing with some major issues, especially financial issues? Can we take care of that instead of just spending our money willy-nilly on foreign endeavors that never work out in our favor, that create more migrant crises, that create more terrorism? Can we not do that now?
I'm sure we're the only ones. We're not the only ones that think it, but we're the only ones that say it.
So that's my next question.
But it's not anti-Semitic to say it.
Well, obviously. That's
because
silly.
if I had a group coming to me and saying, we really want to make sure that you're voting to fund $3.3 billion, you know, every single year to whatever, Switzerland. Exactly.
Not to get off topic, but I washed my socks, and I don't remember. It's been more than a year since I got them, you know, new, and you know, but I don't run, you know, but I'm on my feet. But it always amazes me. It amazes me the quality of socks, how they seem to deteriorate. And this goes from, I'm sure it happened, I just didn't pay attention to it. I was in wrestling, I was in football. The last year of high school I did track, you know, just as a, you know, just to do it. So, you know, I've always been active when I was growing up, you know, outdoors, hiking, building tree forts, stuff like that. My biggest problem with socks were, as Chevy Chase called them, quitters. You know, you pull them up, they fall down. So, one thing I've observed over the last, I don't know, couple years maybe, is it doesn't matter how new the socks that you get, they disintegrate rapidly. I don't know if it's just me that's noticed this, and maybe it's just something I'm more acutely aware because the price of socks has gone up as much as they have, and I'm a tightwad probably isn't even adequate to describe just how stingy I am when it comes to spending money on things such as that. I would rather, this is the reason I would, you know, I've said, I'd like to acquire goats, and I'd like to acquire sheep. That way I can shear the wool, and maybe trade somebody wool for socks, you know. I have no idea. But that would be the optimal situation. Real quality wool socks that work, that don't disintegrate. Anyway, I am a big fan of the concept that America needs to withdraw itself from foreign entanglements. I mean, it's one thing to have alliances, but it's another thing to be given billions upon billions, bordering on trillions of dollars to other nations. I mean, essentially what it is buying friendship. And when you buy friendship, I mean, Obama gave billions to Iran when he was in office in 2010. And look what's happened 15 years later. I mean, it's still an issue. Only because you keep poking at it with a stick.
That would be the same thing.
I love Switzerland. I have ancestors who came from Switzerland. And I go a lot. It's just an amazing country. I couldn't support it more. I wish Switzerland well, as I wish Israel well. But if there were, maybe there is, a Swiss lobby, I would, it probably is, I'm sure there is.
There's every kind of lobby.
Right. I'm not, they don't need the help, I guess, but I would, not there is Israel really, but I would expect them to register under the law.
Yeah, as there's still some major questions remaining here, as there are rumors that Donald Trump was kind of forced to deal with this because he wants his big, beautiful bill passed. And this is the theory here, and listen, with the way that negotiations and deals are being made here, there is a particular impasse. And I don't believe this theory, but this is the theory that's going on here, since I think that the plan to attack Iran from the United States with Donald Trump was already in place as soon as he got into office. That's my own personal opinion. But there are people saying he couldn't get his big, beautiful bill passed. There was lobbyists that came to him and said, hey, bomb Iran for us, bomb their empty facility. They get to bomb your empty airfield. We call it a day. You let Israel do what they want. You just give them more money, more aid, more support. You give up your money for them. Even though we're dealing with record deficits and money spending, and we'll pass your big beautiful bill. That raised that, and you'll be able to get your agenda through. You'll be able to get all of the things you want through. As MTG has been saying, hey, I don't want a big bloated omnibus bill, and they're taking a lot of stuff out of it that is just absolutely crazy. And she has come out and said, yeah, I don't want to support any of this stuff. Like, why are we voting for these huge bills where all these lobbyists and special interest groups get to put whatever they want? Now, there's a couple important things for Donald Trump in there, like especially when it comes to immigration, especially when it comes to some kind of tax relief, which I'm 100% for. But the bill is like a Frankenstein bill. You don't know what you're voting for. There was something in there that would have allowed people to have suppressors legally without the NFA. I was like, all right, yeah. They took that out. Okay, what else are you going to take out? What else are you going to put in? We don't know. Because it's this huge kind of conundrum here. There should be, as Thomas Massey says, vote on the things individually. I think the Hearing Protection Silencer Act is extremely important. The Republicans have a majority. Let's use it. Let's go. Let's vote for it. Come on. Single issue bills. Let's go. I don't know why we're doing all this stuff. You know why? Because it's where the lobbyists get to put in their secret bills last minute, and then you're like, oh, a state can't criticize or regulate AI in the next 10 years. That's great. That's a great provision. Said no one ever. As Owen Schroyer here points out, we spent $2 trillion on NATO, $300 billion to Israel since World War II, $10 trillion in the Middle East since 1990. Your wealth has been robbed from you while you pay 30% of your life in taxes, and your country is invaded. Yeah, that's not good. That's not something I want here. As, of course, Tucker Carlson and MTG also talked about Mark Levin and how he was saving that there was a ceasefire. Well, guess what? It looks like that ceasefire, and again, a ceasefire isn't a peace deal, isn't an end to the conflict. The conflict is still very fluid, and it looks like it is slowly edging over and about to spill over once again, involving us, our taxpayer dollars, and our influence and reputation on the world here. Now, I pray that doesn't happen. I pray that the ceasefire holds. I pray that there's a good peace deal being made here, and that we can de-escalate tensions here to the point where we can all make some money together. And that's the big thing here that I think people need to realize. Now, so far, the oil and the stocks have been remaining pretty strong here, but when it comes to how things will be unfolding, if there is a total escalation, if there's more fighting, more conflict, I do not foresee a good situation for the United States that I think right now is, as we have seen, not the best equipped, and financially majorly in debt, which is a scenario and situation that other countries might take advantage of, especially if they're trying to, of course, undermine us and attack us for our very kind of bold, aggressive actions that we have been taking all around the world here. Now listen here. The world is changing. It's changing very fast here. The future that we are all kind of moving slowly towards to is one that's dominated by left-wing liberal policies. We have seen that in Europe here. Donald Trump has had a very negative impact on his base, on a lot of his supporters throughout all of this. And to me, him now focusing on Thomas Massie and primarying him and other Republicans, as there's probably going to be a major effort against MTG2 for saying what she said now. You're not supposed to let out the big secrets out of the back. You do, you get attacked here. The Republicans have a very slim majority right now. They're not doing jack-ish in Congress. But listen, when the Democrats go in there, okay, and they're going to win the midterms. It's pretty clear. It's clear as day now. Unless something dramatically changes, then you know what? It might, with the way that things are going right now. But all hands need to be on deck here. I think our priorities, I think Donald Trump needs to really hone in. Let's take care of our...
I don't know about any of you, but I'm not going to be voting for a Democrat unless they have, Back in the day, there was an Oregon rep, DeFazio. He was very Second Amendment pro. He was a Democrat, but there was, he was like, yeah, you're not doing anything to destroy those rights, to upend that right. And, but he's since retired. I don't know what his status is, but bottom line is, there's no way I'm going to vote for a Democrat. They'd have to have some kind of proven track record to demonstrate that they'd be worthy of a vote. And I made a reference about Carville recently, saying some base things, but he's just a strategist. He's not an office holder. I've said things positive about Wes Moore, that, after his State of the Union, or State of the State address to the Maryland people, that he, called out needing to help boys and men, that they need some services addressed and so forth, that he'd be worth watching to see what action he takes to match his words. But beyond that, there hasn't been anything. There is no reason to vote for a Democrat. And voting a Republican just to keep a Democrat out is slowly not becoming a reason to vote for them. Because the Republicans are demonstrating they aren't as, that it's a uniparty. It is, it doesn't matter which one you vote for, you get the same result. So I don't know where any of you are on that, but I don't see myself motivated to vote from here on out. There's nothing compelling about it. It's more of the same, and I'd rather accelerate the demise so we can rebuild than have it limp along.
Problems at home here. Let's not entangle ourselves in other foreign problems. And if you agree with that, share this video with your friends and family members. Check out Land of Biltong, truly a great product, all exclusively on BiltongUSA.com. Promo code WRC. Stay tuned for more, all here on YouTube.com/WeAreChange. Love you guys. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is smash the like button the way that female high school teachers smash their students.